Introducing YouTube memberships, a fun way to support the channel while getting some exclusive perks. Click the join button to become a member now and get benefits like badges next to your name on videos, behind-the-scenes photos, advantages during the live trivia game, discounts on merchandise, private one-on-one video chats, the ability to request future video topics, and exclusive 8 to 10 minute videos on the history of the NFL. And now, on with our feature presentation. December 21st, 2023. It's week 16 of the NFL season, and we kick off this week under the lights on Thursday Night Football with a battle in the NFC between the New Orleans Saints and the Los Angeles Rams. For the main team in our story, the Saints, to say that this is a big game would be putting it lightly. They enter this one at 7-7, currently tied for first place in the NFC South with 3 games to go, and right in the thick of things in the wildcard hunt as well. If you win this game, your odds of making the playoffs increase tremendously, as you have to figure that 9-8 will be good enough to make it. Lose this game, however, and your season is in some danger, especially with 2 games coming up against other teams in the NFC South coming straight at you. This feels like a must-win for the Saints in many ways, which means that you cannot make any critical mistakes, which, what the heck do you think happens? After a horrible start to the game where the Saints find themselves down 30-7, somehow, the Saints have clawed their way back into this. 2 touchdown passes by Derek Carr, plus a 2-point conversion, have made the game 30-22. Just like that, the Saints, after looking dead in the water and looking out of it for most of the day, have made it a 1-score game with 3:53 left. No, you don't have any timeouts left, but you have the 2-minute warning. And best of all, you don't have to try a super low percentage onside kick here. You can kick it off deep. You don't necessarily have to concede 3 points if you fail to recover the kickoff. And you can get the ball back with plenty of time and decent field position if you get a stop. Just kick it off deep, and you'll be good. Oh no. Oh no, don't even tell me. Don't even tell me. Don't even tell me. Why are you trying the onside kick? I've got a lot of grievances, Dennis Allen, on this Festivus Eve, and you're on the list. You're on the freaking list. You don't have to do this yet. Why are you trying the onside kick? Why are you trying the onside kick?
So 30-22, and they're going to try an onside kick here, and that's Nakua, and Nakua is there to bring the hands team in.
Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something to look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something to look awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're going to take a look at the mind of New Orleans Saints head coach Dennis Allen. It's a tough fight in terms of who the worst coach in the NFC South is. It seems like the crown alternates every single week. And this week, it's with Allen, because my God, this was one of the worst coach games of the entire season. I do not say that lightly. There have been some games that have been horribly coached this year, but considering how many dumb decisions there were from Allen, and considering how important this game was, this was the worst. This was the cream of the crop. If the Saints fire Dennis Allen after the season, and they absolutely should, then this game will be Exhibit A as to why he got canned, and understandably so. Trust me, this decision was far from the only bad decision he made on the night, from the complete lack of urgency in the fourth quarter, to the punt to start the game off instead of trying the field goal, to the clock management at the end of the first half that led to the Rams extending their lead going into the halftime break. There was a lot to dislike, a lot. But this was, by far, the dumbest move of them all. So with that being said, let's take a look at why trying an onside kick with 3:53 left in the contest is a really bad idea. Now obviously, there's a big-time pro with the onside kick if it succeeds, and that is that you get another possession. You steal a possession from the Rams, you get the ball back, and you have a great chance to tie the ball game up. However, this comes at a massive risk. For one, onside kicks do not have a high probability of working. Not at all. In 2022, there were 56 onside kicks, and of the 56, only 3 of them were successful. That's it. 3. That is a percentage hovering around 5%, and it's roughly the same this year. Under the new rules, the onside kick rarely, if ever, works. So it's like looking at the pros and cons of going for it on 4th and goal from the 45-yard line. Yes, if it works, the reward is massive, but the probability of success is so low that it renders this play almost impossible. Which means that you have to go into this under the assumption that the onside kick will fail. It is a last resort, and that you will be giving the ball back to the Rams in all likelihood. And with that in mind, let's look at the two options here, and why an onside kick makes no sense at all. In option 1, you kick it off deep, like any coach with working brain cells would do, and assuming a fair catch, the Rams start with the ball at the 25-yard line. In option 2, you try the onside kick like Dennis Allen did, and the Rams start with the ball at your 45-yard line, so 30 yards ahead. Let's say you kick it off deep and you force a stop after the Rams get 8 yards, so they get down to the 33-yard line. You get the 3 and out, the Rams take it down to the 2-minute warning, and now you get the ball back after a punt, getting it back with about 1:53 left on the clock. The Rams punt it off, and let's say it's a 45-yard punt, so do the math, and the Saints are taking over, needing to drive down the field somewhere around the 22-yard line. Are the odds great? Obviously not. To go 78 yards down the field in 2 minutes with no timeouts is very hard to do, plus the 2-point conversion. But you at least give yourself a chance. If you try the onside kick and you inevitably fail, guess what? You've got no shot. In that same scenario, where the Rams get 8 yards, they're going from the 45-yard line to the 37-yard line. This means one of 3 things. Number 1, they could go for it, with a first down ending the game. You're not going to go for it at the end of the game when you're in your own territory, but when you're in opposing territory, and fairly deep in opposing territory, yeah, you might try it and end the game there. So the grand irony in all of this is that you try the onside kick so that you can get the ball back, but your odds of getting the ball back are actually worse. Number 2, and most likely, they're trying a field goal from 54 yards out. And guess what happens if they get the field goal? Oh yeah, it's a 2-score game, and the game is over. You have no chance of winning. In the first scenario, if your defense does its job perfectly, you get the ball back with a chance to win. In the second scenario, you don't get the ball back with a chance to win, since it would be 2 possessions. Or number 3, the Rams punt it off, and you're pinned by your own goal line, needing to drive the length of the field. None of those scenarios seem ideal, right? Well, that's what you gave yourself if you try the onside kick, none of which you would have gotten by just kicking it off deep. And remember, this is if you force a 3 and out. This is the best case scenario. If you don't force a 3 and out, and let's say you allow a first down on the first play, and from that point on, the Rams get 5 yards on the ensuing 3 plays, what happens next? In option 1, the Rams are punting the ball back at the 40-yard line. In option 2, the Rams are trying a 47-yard field goal. You gave yourself, quite literally, no leeway and no room for error if you try the onside kick and you fail, which again, based on history and based on common sense, you're going to. Kick it off deep, and you're getting the ball back in a 1-score game if your defense forces a 3 and out, or if they prevent the Saints from getting multiple first downs. Try the onside kick, and you're either getting the ball back in a 1-score game pinned down by your own goal line with captain checkdown Carr, or you're getting the ball back down by 2 scores, or you're not getting the ball back at all. What is the incentive here for trying the onside kick, other than the complete fantasy of getting the ball back in the 1 in a million chance that the play actually works? I just don't get it at all. Trust me, if you didn't get the 2-point conversion and you were still down by 10, so a 2-score game, it makes total sense because you have to steal a possession somehow, no matter how unlikely it is. But down by 8? Down by 1 score? Come on. Did Allen have his mind made up before the 2-point conversion and just forget that they were only down by 1 score instead of 2? I've got nothing. This makes no sense. But after the game, someone asked Allen about the awful decision to try the onside kick, and his explanation boiled down to this after watching the press conference. He said that the Saints hadn't done a good job stopping the Rams all day, and that they had no timeouts left. But there's 2 problems with that argument, Dennis. There's 2 big flaws. Number 1, the clock wasn't really too much of an issue with 4 minutes left. Obviously, you need to get a stop. and time is running out. But you have the 2-minute warning, and even one first down for the Rams, depending on when they get it, doesn't end it. But number 2, your reasoning boiled down to your defense being unable to stop the Rams from moving the ball. But isn't that the argument in favor of kicking it off deep? Aside from the fact that you were a defensive coach, and that's why you got the job in the first place, and your logic was that your defense was playing like crap, you can't get a stop. So you choose the scenario that gives yourself no leeway at all? If you kick it off deep, and your defense makes a mistake and allows a first down, you've still got a good shot to get the ball back with reasonable field positioning. If you try the onside kick and your defense makes a mistake, you're going to allow 3 points, and it's going to be a 2-score game. That's like saying your logic for trying a golf shot, where you're trying a shortcut to go over the trees and maybe hit the green in one, is because you've done a bad job hitting the fairway today. So your logic is to aim for an even smaller target zone? That's like saying your logic for trying to be more aggressive and swing on the first pitch of the at-bat was because you were doing a bad job at working the pitch count. So your logic is to work it even less? Like, you see the contradiction there, right? Your 10 brain cell mind as a head coach sees the contradiction. Your defense is playing poorly, so you choose the scenario where, if your defense keeps playing like that, you've got no shot at winning the game, versus a scenario where you actually have a shot? Seriously, Dennis, how does that make any sense? How are you qualified to be a head coach at all? I've done so many videos of dumb decisions on you already that I've lost count. They're all going to be linked in the upper right corner in the next 2 minutes, and they're all in the description. You lost this game because of your idiotic coaching. You lost the Jaguars game because you forgot that Taysom Hill existed at the very end. The Saints should be a playoff team, no questions asked. But nope, because Dennis Allen has no idea what he's doing and is completely unfit and unqualified to be a head coach in the National Football League. I have no clue if this will be the end of the road for him, but I know this much. Whenever the second stint mercifully comes to an end, there will not be a third. There will most certainly not be a third head coaching stint in the cards for him. His Raiders stint was bad, and this Saints stint is really, really bad, and you're seeing why here. So what do we learn from all of this? If you don't have to try the onside kick, then guess what? Don't try the onside kick. If the risk-reward scenario involves an incredibly low percentage play that you do not have to call at this juncture and at this stage in the game, then don't call that play. If your defense has been playing poorly, then maybe choosing the scenario that actually gives them some wiggle room and some margin for error is better than the scenario that gives them no wiggle room. If it's a 1-score game, and your scenario is just about guaranteed to make it a 2-score game, and lose the game if it fails, which it likely will, then maybe don't pick that scenario. And maybe, just maybe, if you ever find yourself thinking like Dennis Allen does, then during this holiday season, maybe ask Santa to give you some brain cells underneath the tree that you clearly lost along the way. Because when all of these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Get your official Jaguar Gear 9 merchandise by going to jj9shop.com, and be sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out a lot. Join me every Wednesday night where we'll play NFL Trivia for cash prizes at 9 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch. To learn more about the history of college football, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8. To learn more about the history of Major League Baseball, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 7. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.